When sculpting in marble, an artist can literally etch their legacy in stone. Yet despite her prolific work and craftsmanship, Edmonia Lewis spent a century in an unmarked grave.
Edmonia Lewis was the first African-American and Native American sculptor in the 19th century to achieve international fame.
Jeff Richmond Mole is the George Putnam Curator of American Art at the Peabody Essex Museum. For nearly a decade, he worked closely with Shania Harris of the Georgia Museum of Art to curate this exhibit in Salem.
We have 30 of her sculptures in this exhibition, which is the largest number of her works ever brought together in one place. Part of the challenge of organizing an exhibition on Edmonia Lewis is there's such a scarce record of her voice, of her writing, of what she had to say for herself.
A written record may be missing, but Lewis's life reveals itself through her work, starting with her native roots.
She is sadly orphaned as a child, and it's her maternal family who are Mississaugas of the Credit. This is a First Nation in present-day Canada, who really instill in her this creative vision.
These works represent her heyday when she was thriving in a successful studio in Italy. But her career started much earlier in Civil War-era Boston. Lewis had been attending Oberlin College when she met a leading abolitionist who was easy to recognize. He was the most photographed American of the 19th century.
She meets Frederick Douglass in 1863. He recognizes her talent and he says, "You need to go east, where your talent will be recognized and nurtured."
In Boston, her skills grew quickly, but the nurturing took time. Case in point, Robert Gould Shaw, commander of the legendary Massachusetts 54th Regiment. He was the recently martyred leader of the 1st Northern Black Regiment, and one might imagine a local abolitionist would be happy to support a black artist in creating his likeness. One would be mistaken.
One patron in particular, Lydia Maria Child, who was a Boston writer and abolitionist, withholds photographs from Lewis of Robert Gould Shaw, even though Lewis asked for them, because she doesn't think that Lewis is worthy of the subject.
Not giving up, Lewis created and displayed this plaster version of Shaw.
And that plaster version eventually is so well regarded that members of Shaw's family, his sisters, commissioned Lewis to make a marble version, and that ends up in the Museum of African American History.
But the marble version was made only after Lewis had left the States for Italy.
Lewis asserts that she had to leave the United States. She said, "I was practically driven to Rome because the land of liberty had no room for a colored sculptor."
And it would seem she was right. As American blacks struggled for equal protection under the law during Reconstruction, Lewis was thriving in Europe.
By the 1870s, she has almost 20 assistants working in her studio. Europeans and Americans coming through Rome knew that Lewis's studio was a place they needed to visit, and she was a person they needed to meet. Lewis leaves Italy probably around the early 1890s. She stopped making sculpture. She ends up in London in 1900 and passes away relatively quietly in 1907.
Fortunately, her story doesn't end there. In the past decade, interest in Lewis has exploded, presenting a new challenge to scholars, including Richmond Mole, finding her work.
She, in some ways, has been hiding in plain sight. She has works in places like Mount Auburn Cemetery.
Despite tremendous challenges, Edmonia Lewis's stone legacy lives on. From Salem, this exhibit will tour the United States, exposing even more people to the art that was her life's work.
The kind of pinnacle of that work coming in a sculpture called Forever Free, which is the first sculpture to celebrate emancipation by black artists in this country.
And finding Lewis's work really has been a scavenger hunt. The original plaster bust of Robert Gould Shaw that earned her that marble commission was discovered in the collection of the National Guard in Concord, where it sat quietly on display for about 100 years. The exhibit of Lewis's work is at the Peabody Essex Museum until June 7th. It then heads out on tour.